Which company is better, Polestar or Lucid Motors? That is the question we are going to find out today in 7 lightning rounds. We are going to be looking at fundamental and financial analysis, and these two are the first elements of my 3-part method, the FUFITA strategy, which is fundamental, financial, and technical analysis. My name is Wiebe from Nesami, and it is my mission to provide everyone with a financially healthy life. And I want to talk to you in this video about Polestar versus Lucid Motors. I already provided multiple videos about these two companies. For example, this one over here about Polestar and this one over here about Lucid Motors, which you can definitely check out for a little bit more context. So in this video, we're going to be looking at 7 different rounds. We're going to look at 4 different rounds of fundamental analysis and 3 different rounds of financial analysis. And the first element we're going to be looking at is fundamental analysis. We're going to be looking at whether these two companies, Polestar and Lucid Motors, are global brands or more a local brand. So we're first going to start off with Polestar. In the investor relations page, we can see that currently Polestar is producing at Chengdu and Luqiao, which are both located in China. These are, I believe, existing Geely or Volvo facilities, which is basically the previous mother company of Polestar. But now with the SPAC, Polestar is of course going to be an independent car company. There's also going to be a potential production site in Ghent, which is in Belgium, so in the middle of the European Union. And they're also likely going to be producing in Charleston, which is in South Carolina in the United States, which is where they hopefully are going to produce the Polestar 3. Polestar already has cars around the United States, in Canada, in China, in the European Union. I personally live in the Netherlands, and I see more and more Polestars around every single day on the road. And I also hear pretty positive comments about the Polestar cars, that people like the appearance of the Polestar cars for sure. The company is also going to expand their facilities, or they're going to expand, the cars into the Asia Pacific region and also in the Middle East in the next couple of years in 2022 and 2023. Lucid Motors, on the other hand, is a little bit more focused on North America, the North American region at this very moment in time. They do want to expand into Europe. They do want to expand in the Middle East as well in the first quarter of next year, 2022. But as we can see in the investor presentation of Lucid Motors, we can see that basically all of their studios are located in North America as of this moment. Apart from that, we can also see that the production facility for Lucid Motors is not just all around the world, but it is basically mainly located in Arizona. So they have a very big focus on Arizona, multiple sites where they are going to be producing their cars. So all in all, I believe that Polestar is going to win this round. They do seem to be a more global brand compared to Lucid Motors at this point. The next round of this fundamental analysis is going to be the analysis of the CEO of these two companies. If we look at Polestar, the CEO is Thomas Ingenlath. Hopefully I pronounced that well. He was the chief exterior designer at Volkswagen. He was the chief designer at Skoda. He was the former senior vice president design at Volvo Cars, and he is the CEO of Polestar since 2017. So he seems to be focused mostly on the design aspect. He has been chief designer at multiple companies, so he's not necessarily an engineer. However, if we look at Lucid Motors, we can see that the current CEO is Peter Rawlinson. He was the former Tesla chief engineer of the Model S, so he seems to be focused more on the engineering aspect. So in general, I would say that Lucid Motors is going to win this round. I believe that the part of, engineering is a little bit more important than the part of design, but I could be very wrong there. But I'm still going to give the point to Lucid Motors, 1-1. Then let's take a look at the range of these cars, and for the Polestar cars, we can see that the Polestar 1, which in my opinion was more like a concept car, had a range of only 120 kilometers. If we look at the Polestar 2, then we can see it has a range of about 540 kilometers, and the next cars, the Polestar 3, 4, and 5, are going to have a target range of more than 600 kilometers. Then if we look at Lucid Motors, the car is going to have more than 500 miles on a single charge. They had a test done, and the test result was basically 520 miles, which is about 830 kilometers. Well, that's quite a bit more compared to the 540 kilometers of the Polestar 2. So do keep in mind, however, that the Lucid Motors car is way more expensive compared to the Polestar car. The Lucid car is about $169,000, and the Polestar is between $50,000 and $60,000. So that's definitely a big difference, of course. But yeah, in general, I am going to give the point here to Lucid Motors because their car does have a higher range. So 1-2 for Lucid Motors. Let's then take a look at aspect number 4, which is going to be the percentage ownership by SPAC holders of the company. Now, I don't really care a lot about this. I don't really care if the SPAC holders own a large percentage or not, because usually it's quite low anyways. Usually it's between like 10 and 15% or something like that. There are advantages, there are some disadvantages. I mean, if there is a lower percentage shareholder ownership by the SPAC holders, then they are going to have less votes, of course. But again, yeah, usually it's between 10 and 15% anyways. If the ownership is higher, then I believe there's less incentive for the companies to make the stock look super cheap. So in general, I think it's of course way more nuanced than I just have been explaining. But in the end, I don't really think the percentage ownership matters that much. We're still going to take a look at it though. As we can see, the pro forma ownership for Polestar, we can see that 94.1% is going to be owned by Polestar shareholders and 3.8%, only 3.8% is going to be held by SPAC holders, so the SPAC GGPI. If you look at Lucid Motors, however, the picture is quite different. We can see that existing or previous Lucid shareholders are now owning 73.4% of the company, and previous CCIV shareholders now own about 16.2% of the amount of outstanding shares of the company. So in general, I would say that Lucid Motors is going to win this round. Again, I don't really care that much, but I'm still going to give them the point. 1-3 for Lucid Motors. By the way, if you like this content, definitely make sure to like this video and subscribe so you can get more notifications in the future. Okay, let's then look at the other round of financial data, and we're going to look at 3 different aspects. We're going to start off with the amount of cars sold by both companies. And if we start out with Polestar, we can see right here that in 2021, they expect to have sold about 29,000 vehicles in this year. So that means that they already have a proven concept. And as I've mentioned before, I see more and more Polestars in the Netherlands right here. People seem to like it for sure. They have a very ambitious goal of selling 290,000 vehicles in 2025. So within 4 years' time, they want to basically, make it tenfold. They want to increase their amount of production, or the amount of cars sold by 10x, from 29,000 to 290,000 by 2025. Then if we look at Lucid Motors, the picture is quite different here as well. We can see that in 2021, they're going to have less than 1,000 cars sold, or maybe not even 1 car sold, but we're going to have to wait and see if that is actually going to happen or not. And we can see that in 2025, they expect to have sold about 135,000 vehicles. So that's going to be quite the increase as well for Lucid Motors within 4 years' time. So in general, I believe that Polestar is going to win this round. Currently, they already have sold more cars. They are likely going to be selling more cars in 2025, and they already have that proven concept. So the score right now is 2-3, still in favor of Lucid Motors. The next thing we're going to be looking at is the price per car, and for Polestar, we can see, according to the investor presentation, the Polestar 2 has a price tag between $50,000 and $60,000, and we can see that the Polestar 3, 4, and 5 are going to have different price tags. We can see that Polestar 3 is going to have more or less the price tag of a Porsche Cayenne, Polestar 4 is going to have more or less the price tag of a Porsche Macan, and Polestar 5 is going to look a little bit more like the Porsche Panamera. If we go to the website of Porsche, we can see that the Cayenne is starting from $69,000, Macan from $52,000, and the Panamera from $88,000, just to give you an indication. And here we can see the price tags for the Lucid Air, which is going to have different price points. We have the Dream Edition for $169,000, the Grand Touring Edition from $139,000, Touring from $95,000, and the Pure Edition from $77,000. So in general, we can see that Polestar has a lower price tag, and I believe that is going to lead them to becoming a little bit more mainstream, because people are going to have more access to these cars, and because the lower price tag, of course. However, on the other hand, I believe that a higher price tag is going to have a higher profit per car as well. So that could be in favor of Lucid Motors. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be a higher profit per car, but it could definitely work out that way. However, I do think that I would give the nudge to Polestar instead, because I think it's a little bit more important that the Lucid or that the Polestar cars are going to become a little bit more mainstream compared to the higher price tag, which is going to be a little bit less mainstream in my personal opinion. I personally like that the cars are more mainstream so that more people have access to these cars. So I'm going to give the point to Polestar in this round. So the current tally is 3-3 for both companies. And then the very final aspect is going to be the valuation of these companies. We're going to be looking at the market caps of both companies, and we're going to be looking at the price to sales ratio for both of these companies. And in my opinion, I think the valuation is one of the most important factors to me. So we're going to take a look and see what both companies look like with regards to the financial analysis. So we can see that based on the amount of shares that Polestar is going to have after the merger, and based on the current price per share of $10.03, we can see that the market cap, pro forma market cap after the merger, is going to be $21.3 billion. If we look at Lucid Motors, the amount of shares is about 1.6 billion, and the current price per share is $24.73, which is going to give you a market cap of $39.5 billion. So the current market cap of Polestar is quite a bit lower compared to Lucid, almost twice as cheap as of this moment. So then we're also going to take a look at the price to sales ratio for Polestar and for Lucid Motors. For the price to sales ratio, you need the price, so basically the market cap of the company, and you can divide it by the amount of sales for the company. So we're going to be looking at the price to sales ratio for 2021 all the way up to 2025. And if you do that for Polestar, if you look at the price to sales ratio for 2021, if you take that market cap of 2021 right now of Polestar, or well, the pro forma market cap, and you divide it by the amount of sales for 2021, you're going to arrive at a ratio of 13.4x. If you do the same thing for Lucid Motors, the current market cap is 39.5 billion. The amount of sales is only going to be about 97 million. So the price to sales ratio becomes 406.8. If you do that for all of the years over here, so you take the market cap divided by the sales of the year, you arrive at this number. Market cap divided by sales, you arrive at this number. So you do that for all of these years, and you're going to find the price to sales ratios for all of these companies: 6.7 in 2022, 17, that is for Polestar, of course. For Lucid Motors, 17.8x. And all the way up to 2025, you can see that Polestar is going to have a price to sales ratio of 1.2x. Lucid Motors is going to have a price to sales ratio of 2.8x. So basically, you can see that Polestar is always cheaper compared to Lucid Motors in the next couple of years, if you look at the current market cap and if you look at the sales of all of these years. So in general, I would definitely give the point to Polestar here. So Polestar is leading with 4-3 compared to Lucid Motors. So in general, we can see that Lucid has a CEO with more experience. We can see that the range of their cars is higher, and the percentage of ownership of the SPAC holders is higher as well. However, if you look at Polestar, they have a proven concept, they have cars on the road, they have a more global brand, more cars sold, a lower price tag per car. They are likely going to be a little bit more mainstream compared to Lucid Motors, and the valuation is way better compared to Lucid Motors as well. So if you would ask me to choose between these two companies, I would go for Polestar for sure. Now, this is of course not financial advice, but that would be my personal decision. If you haven't seen the video about the merger between GGPI and Polestar, definitely check out this video over here. And if you have already seen that video, maybe check out the video about Lucid Motors instead, which is right over here. And with that being said, I would like to thank you for your time, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.